Masisi Baranji, Baredi Neburu,
Come and shine in Plascon Paint and win the Twake edition. Buy Plascon Paint worth 100,000 shillings. Get a scratch card and SMS the code to 7197. Not only will you win instant airtime, but you could take home 1 million shillings daily, a share of 4 million shillings each week, or a brand new motorbike with fuel worth 100,000 shillings. Terms and conditions apply. Plascon, color your world.
It's true what people say, that when I wash and you wash your hands with soap, we'll have less infections as Ugandans. After all, it's hands that handle money. It's hands that feed us. Hands that prepare soil for farming. Hands that we use to learn. And hands that we use for fun.
When I wash and you wash, it means clean hands for all. So, wash your hands with soap and clean water regularly to keep away infections and disease-causing germs. This message is from the National Hand Washing Secretariat with support from UNICEF.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The Journey program on UBC TV is brought to you by Plascon, color your world. About red, about blue, it's your turn to shine in Plascon Paint and win the Twake edition. Buy Plascon Paint worth 100k, get a scratch card and SMS the code to 7197. Not only will you win instant airtime, but you could take home 1 million shillings daily, a share of 4 million shillings each week, or a brand new motorbike with fuel worth 100k. Tune in every Sunday at 6:55 p.m. on NBS, Bukede TV or Sanyuka TV to catch all the colorful action. Terms and conditions apply. Plascon, color your world.
Good evening, our dear viewers. I am delighted this evening to walk you through the journey of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development. I am Ms. Irene Batebe, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, and I have been in the ministry for about 18 years, having started out as a young graduate at the time. So this evening, we will walk you through the strides we have made as a ministry, covering areas of petroleum, mining, and also energy. And as the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, our vision is to ensure the sustainable development of all our resources, covering energy, petroleum, and minerals. And our mission is to be a model of excellence in the sustainable management of energy, minerals, and petroleum. And we do espouse a number of values as a ministry. Top on the list is integrity, professionalism, transparency, customer care, where we pay attention to the citizenry and the communities that we work with, but also critically innovation. So as a ministry, we always ensure we are innovating and coming up with new ways of doing our work. So this evening, we are delighted to share with you all that we have been doing as a ministry. So starting off our journey on the energy side, the ministry underwent its very first energy reforms around 2001, where at the time we unbundled the Uganda Electricity Board, and we created 3 utility companies: the Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited, the Uganda Electricity Transmission Company Limited, and the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited. And the reason for the unbundling at the time was largely to also attract private sector. So in addition to the unbundling, we concessioned a number of our assets, including Kira Nalubale, that we concessioned to Eskom at the time, and of course our distribution network, the national distribution network that we concessioned to Umeme about 20 years ago. And at the time, we were reporting electricity access rates of about 10%. And over the years, thanks to the leadership of His Excellency the President, but also the different ministers that have supported the ministry over the years, we have seen enormous growth in the electricity subsector. 20 years later, we are reporting access rates of 57%, and we continue to attract investment in the sector to ensure we achieve our universal access target of 100% access to electricity by 2030. And this is also enshrined in the NRM manifesto, where we committed to ensuring access to clean energy to all Ugandans, but also we committed to supplying reliable and affordable electricity. So we continue to work on those aspects to ensure that Ugandans can have access to electricity, but also for it to be affordable. And I will highlight the interventions that we are undertaking. So 20 years later, we have seen our generation capacity increasing from, at the time, less than 100 megawatts to today. We are talking about almost 2,000 megawatts, which we are going to commission will be commissioning Karuma hydropower plant of 600 megawatts, hopefully by the end of the year, and that will bring us to 2,000 megawatts. And then on the transmission side, we've seen our transmission network growing. Today we are boasting of over 4,000 kilometers of transmission network. On the distribution side, and thanks to the Rural Electrification Program, we've also extended our distribution network, including the rural areas, and we continue to mobilize finances to support our ambition of achieving universal access. Now, moving on this journey, after 20 years, we are now entering what we call our second generation reforms, meaning a lot has been done, but we still have an enormous task ahead of us. So we have sat as a sector with the guidance of Cabinet, and we have worked out the next set of reforms. And the immediate ones that we have undertaken already is the end of the ESCOM concession, where we believe that over 20 years, we have built capacity as the national utility companies to be able to operate and manage these facilities. So as of this year, we had the Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited taking over the operations of Kira Nalubale Power Dam, where UEGCL, the generation company, is now fully in charge of the operations of the dam. And we are delighted to report that from the time the company took over the operations in March, we have not seen any major operational hiccup. That speaks to the capacity that we have built on our generation side. So that is on the generation concession. Now, we are also preparing for the management of the end of the Umeme concession, which ends in March of 2025. And we've already been guided by Cabinet that our national utility company should be the majority shareholder in a special purpose vehicle that will continue with the operation of the Umeme concession. So we are preparing the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company Limited to be able to take on the operations of the Umeme concession, and that way, once again, we shall demonstrate the capacity we've built over the years. But in order to leverage from the strength of the private sector, the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company will enter a partnership with a private developer or investor to continue managing that concession. So that is the next reform that we will undertake in terms of managing the end of these concessions that we leased out 20 years ago. There are other reforms that we've undertaken, for example, the mainstreaming of the Rural Electrification Agency into the Ministry of Energy for close supervision and monitoring, but also for harmonization of roles. That was concluded, and we have now entered smooth sailing in terms of the operations of rural electrification, having gone through about a year of the transition. So today we have a fully fledged rural electrification department in the ministry that is managing aspects of rural electrification. So now going forward on this journey, we have just undertaken the review of our energy policy. The review of this energy policy was largely to then give us new targets for the next 20 years, having gone through the last 20 years. So this energy policy was approved by Cabinet this year during April, and we launched it countrywide at a ceremony during September of this year, and subsequently we have begun the implementation of the policy. And as a ministry, our mantra is that a policy is only as good as the action we see on the ground. It's not enough to have a good policy document. Policy is seen in action. That's why we have started our aggressive journey to now implement the new policy. What are the targets we have set in this new policy? Looking at our ambitious plan to develop, to industrialize, you've seen the launch of the parish development model. We need to support it through agro-processing, provide electricity for the different groups that will be participating in the parish development model, but also looking at the number of industrial parks that are being launched thanks to Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development and Ministry of Trade and Uganda Investment Authority. We are working on our side to ensure we can support these industrial parks that are being launched, industrialization. And the reason why this is critical for the ministry is because it aligns very well with the government's agenda to create employment for the youth. We are aware that ours is a young country where over 70% of the population is youthful. So as a Ministry of Energy, we will support and we continue to support interventions that create jobs to support the youth. So we will, through this industrialization agenda, be able to increase our generation from the current 2,000 megawatts to a new target of 52,000 megawatts that was set in consultation with Cabinet and other stakeholders, including our development partner group. So we are starting the journey of ensuring we are able to deploy the different generation options. Today, our energy mix of contributing to the 2,000 megawatts is largely hydropower. And we see this energy mix evolving over the next 20 years because we will deploy all our hydropower. Today, the remaining potential is about 4,500 megawatts. We will deploy our geothermal potential, which is at about 1,500 megawatts. We will equally deploy our different bioenergy and biomass potential. We do have some peat. This comes from the waste that has decayed over the years. But we also, in order to meet our target of 52,000 megawatts, are having an active nuclear power development program. And thanks to His Excellency the President, we've been supported in this endeavor. We are already internally, we have set up a department that is focused on nuclear power development. We are working with the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is the reputable authority on supporting nations globally to develop nuclear, based in Vienna, Austria. So we work with them to evaluate on a milestone basis our progress when it comes to nuclear power development. And I'm delighted to report that they have approved Uganda to progress to the next phase of the development of nuclear power. Phase 1 largely looked at our legal and regulatory framework to confirm that we do have a suitable legal framework, which they did confirm, because today we do have an atomic energy law But they equally, working with us, identified areas that need to be strengthened in this atomic energy law. So we are going through a reform of our atomic energy law to be able to strengthen aspects of nuclear security, nuclear decommissioning, and other aspects. So we will be presenting a bill in the coming days during this year to Cabinet and subsequently to Parliament to revise or amend our nuclear energy law. So nuclear will play a significant role in contributing to the target we've set of 52,000 megawatts, to be able to deploy about 28,000 megawatts of that of nuclear. So you can see the enormous task that we have as a Ministry of Energy, because all of this ties in together to speak to the energy security of this country. And as a ministry, we are committed, working with our ministerial team, to ensure that the country remains energy secure. Now, in addition to having set goals on the generation side, we have also set goals on the access side. This is distribution and last mile connections. And we continue to mobilize financing to ensure we are able to implement our national electrification strategy that falls under this energy policy, the new one. So in our national electrification strategy, we have committed to achieve universal access. And for us to do that, we need to mobilize about $5 billion to invest in the distribution and last mile connection access, the end user. So we are working with a number of partners, but also thanks to Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, we continue to mobilize financing to be able to achieve that goal. So today, we've been able to onboard a World Bank funded project to support us on the last mile connection of about $638 million, the Electricity Access Scale-Up project. This project became effective this year in June, and for the next 4 to 5 years, we will be connecting about 1 million Ugandans in terms of households, small and medium enterprises, industrial parks, but also supporting residential homes. And our emphasis as we roll out this program is to ensure we are supporting the productive use of energy.
The Journey program on UBC TV.
And shine in Plascon Paint and win the Twake edition. Buy Plascon Paint worth 100,000 shillings. Get a scratch card and SMS the code to 7197. Not only will you win instant airtime, but you could take home 1 million shillings daily, a share of 4 million shillings each week, or a brand new motorbike with fuel worth 100,000 shillings. Terms and conditions apply. Plascon, color your world.
The Journey program on UBC TV.
Regarding the petroleum developments, just following after energy, we continue to plan for the resources that we discovered in the country. You recall, arising from our aggressive program for exploration, we established about 6.5 billion barrels of oil in place. That is the oil that exists in the ground. And of this, we are going to develop and exploit about 1.4 billion barrels. But it's important to emphasize that that only covers 10% of our potential. So we continue to license for additional petroleum. So we have done a lot of work to ensure we have a robust legal and regulatory framework to support the sector. We have also ensured that we have the institutional framework, the Petroleum Authority of Uganda working with the ministry, but also the National Oil Company. So the ministry handles aspects of licensing and promotion of the sector. The Uganda National Oil Company handles aspects of the commercial side, ensuring they are investing on behalf of the state. And then the Petroleum Authority of Uganda provides the legal support in terms of compliance and regulation. So together we work as a tripod to ensure that the sector is well managed. So today we are at a point where we are preparing for production. We already took the final investment decision, that was in February last year, and we saw commencement of drilling this year at the Kingfisher development area, and subsequently also for Tilenga, where we will in total produce about 230,000 barrels per day at peak. And in terms of our commercialization, this project is being commercialized through an oil refinery of 60,000 barrels per day. And today in this country, we consume about 40,000 barrels per day of petroleum products. But also some volumes will be exported through the crude oil pipeline that is terminating in Tanga, Tanzania. That crude oil pipeline is about 1,445 kilometers, and the development of the pipeline has advanced. We're at a point where on the Ugandan side, we are completing the land acquisition process for the Waylive, where we will lay the pipeline. It is a corridor of about 30 meters, traversing about 10 districts, running from Chikube, Hoima, through Luengo, Masaka, down to Mutukula, and then starting its journey into Tanzania. So on the Ugandan side, we have about 296 kilometers of this pipeline. But we've also broken ground for construction works for what we call our Pump Station 1 camp yard. That is located somewhere within what we term as the Kabale Industrial Park in Chikube, Hoima. So that we've already broken ground, and construction will start for that site. On the Tanzanian side, there is also a lot of progress. We have just started the testing of the coating for our pipes. So we've brought in some pipes to support the coating process, and the coating plant should also be ready for commissioning and ready to start operation. So that speaks to the fact that the project is progressing, and our target is to ensure we achieve first oil by 2025 end. Of course, there are certain other aspects that we continue to pay attention to in the development of our oil and gas project. Aspects of environment, social governance, where we have been very keen to ensure all our projects undertake environmental social impact assessments, and NEMA issues the necessary certificates to support the developments. And besides NEMA issuing these certificates, through the Petroleum Authority of Uganda, working with NEMA, we ensure that we are supervising the companies and that they are adhering to the commitments they made in the environmental social impact assessment. So we are confident that we've put in place all the tools and instruments to support us in monitoring aspects of the environment. Then there are other areas we are paying attention to avoid what they call the Dutch disease, where nations establish resources like petroleum, and the entire economy is skewed to that particular resource development, abandoning other sectors. So we are aware of this risk. So what we've done is ensure sector linkages. We are working with agriculture, but also all the other sectors to ensure that they continue to thrive alongside the petroleum development. So we run a number of programs to support farmers. We've partnered with banks like Stanbic. They are doing an incubation project in Hoima, where we support farmers to ensure they are able to provide supplies and goods to the industry. We are also very strong on aspects of national content. And today, of the workers that we are employing in our different projects, of about 3,000 today, almost 94% of these are Ugandans. So that speaks to the fact that we have deliberately built capacity that is now coming through in the sector in terms of employment. The other aspect is on supply of goods and services. So far, we've contracted out about $7 billion of contracts. And of that, about $1.3 billion has gone to local companies. So that speaks also to our target, because we had set a target for this phase of construction, we should at least attain 40% national content. Because of course it's a new industry, because one would wonder why not 80%. It's because most of the services, our companies are still developing capabilities of engineering, but also aspects of construction, management, etc. So for those aspects that we ring-fenced in our regulations for national content, about 16, where we know Ugandans have capacity, we've ensured as much as possible Ugandans are investing in those areas, be it the construction industry, logistics, catering, hospitality, aspects of undertaking environmental, social impact assessments, and many others. For those, that is the bulk of about 24% so far of national content. But our target is 40%, and I believe as we continue to contract, we shall see Ugandans attaining those levels. So we'll continue to support all Ugandans in terms of national content, developing their capabilities, and ensuring that Ugandan companies are competitive in the industry. And the other area that the ministry focuses on is on mining. And mining in the ministry, we look at it as one of our very critical areas with enormous potential. And in the ministry, we believe it's not enough to have potential. The potential must be unlocked. So we have gone through reforms in our mining industry. We've just enacted the new Mining and Minerals Act, which is going to help us achieve a number of aspects. Number one, this Mining and Minerals Act of 2022 is emphasizing aspects of value addition. We want to see most of our minerals or oil becoming valuable, adding value, retaining value within the country to enable our socio-economic development. So whoever comes to invest in the mineral sector today will have to demonstrate that they do have a plan to ensure they put in place the processing facilities and be able to add value to these minerals to as good as final products that can even be used in the country. One of our critical challenges has been financing. Financing is never enough. When you look at the sector requirements, I already highlighted on the access side alone, in terms of distribution and last mile connection, we need $5 billion. When you add aspects of generation, it will go into hundreds of $billions. So we continue to work with Ministry of Finance to ensure the sector is mobilizing financing. On our side as the ministry, we continue to package bankable projects so that we are able to attract both development partner financing, but also on the commercial side for some of the projects. We will continue also looking at other innovative financing arrangements. I know there is a lot of debate around climate finance. We continue to see how we position ourselves to also access climate finance, because we do have climate smart investments as a sector. The other challenge that really is affecting many other sectors, even beyond Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, is land acquisition. Most of our projects are infrastructure projects, and these we must develop on land. We must find wayleaves. We must find sites for our projects, be it the refinery, transmission lines, petroleum products, pipeline. All of these require land. And we've seen over the years, this is one of the areas that tends to slow us down due to a number of reasons. Sometimes it could be contested values. Chief Government Valuer has guided, but the project affected persons' expectations are very high. So we work with the project affected persons, and we really want to thank all of them on our different projects to ensure we address these issues and the land becomes available. The other area is largely to do with procurements. We continue to work with Ministry of Finance. We've just deployed a digital solution, the electronic government procurement portal, which I think is a good innovation. So we are working with Ministry of Finance to see how EGP, the electronic government procurement portal, can support us in expediting procurements and removing those bottlenecks. And as a ministry, we are committed to continuing to support the country in terms of availing electricity. And we want to thank our different partners that work with us, the World Bank, the French Development Agency, the Norwegian government, KfW from Germany, GIZ. We work with, and the African Development Bank. We have a whole number of partners that we work with, UNDP, FAO, and others. We are really delighted as a ministry to have this support, and we look forward to having and fostering an active cooperation with them. But critically, His Excellency the President, because on an ongoing basis, he gives us guidance as a sector. He has guided us, and we are always on track to ensure we deliver on the NRM manifesto, but also the National Development Plan, and globally, the SDGs. Critically also, our ministerial team. The ministerial team has been extremely supportive, and that has really driven our agenda, and very well. Finally, I really want to thank the Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC, for giving us this opportunity as accounting officers to feature on this program and highlight the achievements that we are making as ministries, but also the challenges that we encounter as we go about our role, and the general public that we work with. In the ministry, our mantra is that our prime client is the public. And we really want to thank the general public that works with us on this journey, the local governments that we work with in our areas of operation, and all our different stakeholders. Thank you very much, and I wish you a blessed night.
The Johnny program on UBC TV